to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video. I am so grateful and appreciative of the community that we're building, my fellow career savages, you guys seeking that advice. We are growing and I'm just so appreciative, so I wanted to just thank you guys for continuing to watch my videos. Today, I'm going to be answering a question that so many of you ask, and that is, how do you get a job in big pharma, or as we call it, industry? So stick around and watch the entire video. A lot of you guys, and I feel like this is how I start all my videos, but a lot of you guys ask me, how do you get a job in big pharma? Big pharma is now becoming something that a lot of PharmDs want to enter into, and I think it's because everyone's realizing that retail pharmaceutical is not it. Long hours, you're stressed, and you also have to deal with patients. So if you could just X all that out and still contribute to healthcare and clinical research, why not do it without having to deal with like patients on a day-to-day basis at, you know, one of these mega pharmaceutical retail companies. This video is not gonna be that long, I already can tell, but there are basically two ways I think people can enter into pharma, and I'll tell you how I got into pharma. I've talked about this in so many videos, but I got into industry because I started as a pharm tech, and when I was uploading my resume on different job platforms, a recruiter reached out to me, said they liked my pharmaceutical experience and paired with my pre-med biology degree, and they decided to offer me the job. And it just happened. And I always say this, you guys, it just happened. It literally just happened. I would have taken any job at that point because I was so miserable at the job that I had at that time. So it was just by fate that I ended up in regulatory affairs, which is in industry. Now, for my PharmD graduates, I know a lot of you guys are like, I want to get into industry, how do I do it? Like, I feel like there's no way to do it because everyone's applying to industry now. It's so complicated, it's so hard. I entered industry in 2016, which was almost 5 years ago. So I feel like back then it was a little bit easier and they were more keen to taking on people with a bachelor's in just science. I feel like now that I see like a lot of positions, they still take people with bachelor's in science, but now they're looking for PharmD, the master's in science, the MPHs, the MSNs to get into regulatory affairs, clinical affairs, or medical affairs. Again, not to say it's impossible for people with a bachelor's in science, because I definitely think you can still get an entry-level regulatory affairs position with a bachelor's degree in science biology. Anyway, so the first way you can get into industry is by interning for a pharmaceutical company. A lot of these big companies do have internship programs, and some of them are even partnered with universities. So I would look in to see what pharmaceutical companies are partnered with what universities, or I mean the other way around, ask and see if your university is partnered with any pharmaceutical industry and see if it's something that you can integrate into your schedule. Now, if you've already graduated, you could still try and get an internship by contacting the pharmaceutical company, or again, contacting your alma mater and seeing if that is any type of way that you can finesse your way in. Now, for people who already had an internship and you're a PharmD, I personally think that you should have been networking during your internship to see if you could get a job with that pharmaceutical company. Because a lot of times I have friends who were in PharmD programs and they interned at the companies that I was working at, and my companies ended up hiring them for a full-time position in medical affairs or clinical affairs, because they saw their work ethic and their personality and it just went with the company well. So yeah, I definitely think that an internship is one of the greatest ways. And I just have a lot of friends who have done pharmacy internships as PharmDs. So I feel like that's the #1 sure way. Now, the second way to get into pharma, of course, is networking. It really is. A lot of times I tell people it's about who you know at this point. Like, so many jobs that I've gotten in my career have been because of who I know, or because I just had a conversation with someone and they liked how I spoke or how I carried myself and they wanted to help me get a job. So a lot of times when it comes to industry, it's about who you know. You need to be networking with people. You need to be talking to people on LinkedIn, people who are in regulatory affairs, clinical affairs, medical affairs. You need to be messaging them, asking them how they got their position. Just engage in conversation with them. There have been people who have sent me their resume who are PharmDs or people with their masters in public health or whatever, people with some sort of interest in regulatory affairs, and I'm like, okay, I will pass your resume on to recruiters that I'm connected with, or I will pass your resume on to people I know who are looking to fill a position. I don't know if any of them have gotten jobs or not, but I have done my part in connecting them with the right people. So a lot of times it's all about networking. I just can't even put into words how many people say like they're looking for jobs in regulatory, and because I like the conversation I have with them and I like their resume and their expertise, I am willing to go to bat for them. That's networking, you know? So I think that's the second way. The third way, obviously, is just applying for the job. I do believe that you're more likely to get the job if you network or intern, but that's why I'm listing it at number 3 is just by blindly applying for the job on LinkedIn, connecting with recruiters, telling them you're interested, what you're looking for, and you gotta sell yourself with confidence. I always tell my clients that sometimes it's about how you speak to your own abilities, because for me, what are the odds that someone with a Pharm Tech certification and a bachelor's in science with no real regulatory affairs experience got into regulatory affairs industry? It's how I sold myself. And sometimes I personally feel for pharmaceutical industry, it's like, people are like, oh, you don't have the experience, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, if you have the foundation and you are driven and capable, you can figure it out. Because a lot of times it's what we learn on the job. You can figure it out. So when I was talking to the recruiter, it's how I sold myself that made him go to bat for me, and I ended up excelling in the role. And for most of the jobs that I've had, honestly, it's how I've sold myself. Even how I'm talking to you guys now. Are you not convinced? I'm just saying. Sometimes it's how you sell yourself. So like I said, number 3 is blindly applying, but make sure you're selling yourself in the right way. Like I said, this video was gonna be very short, but those are the 3 ways that I think you can get into industry. The first one is interning, the second one is networking, the third one is blindly applying. And I know I was talking a lot about PharmD students, but that's just because those are the people who approach me the most trying to get into pharmaceutical industry. But this is applicable to anyone who's interested in getting to pharmaceutical industry or clinical research and development. If you need any more specific career advice, make sure you visit careersavage.com and schedule your one-on-one consult. We have a 15, 30, and 60-minute option. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and until next time, bye.